Here's the supplies we'll be needing today. So you're going to need 0W20 engine oil. The manual calls for, if you can see there, including the oil filter, 5.7 quarts. So each of those is 5 quarts, so I got 2. I'll use the rest of it next time. I use Mobil 1, but full synthetic. But genuine Honda oil is probably a good choice also. I've also got an oil filter. That's a genuine Honda oil filter. Thanks to my buddy Mike over at DIYHEMI for hooking me up with that. He bought a case of those a while ago, and he always lets me have one whenever it's time to change the oil. The only other thing not shown here is I would recommend getting a crush washer for the drain plug. That'll go back around the drain plug when you reinstall it. Very important. You can get it from Honda. Recommend you get that. Alright, we got the car up on the ramps. So as you can see, we just pulled it up on these ramps in the front. These are Rhino ramps. Extremely useful if you work on your car. So we got it pulled up there. Got the parking brake on. We got it in park. And we also have a wheel chock behind the rear wheel, just to make sure we're super safe. It's not going to go anywhere. So next we can go ahead and pop the hood right here. Get the hood open. Lift up there. Move this little lever here. The hood opens up. And then we'll grab this here. Hopefully you can see that. And then since the engine's warmed up already, we're going to go ahead and open up the oil cap, which is right down here. And that way, when we drain the oil, it won't pull a vacuum and it will flow freely. So we'll just leave that there for now. Alright, next we're going to go up underneath the car and pull the drain plug on the oil pan. So make sure you've got a decent pair of safety glasses so you don't get anything in your eyes. And we've also got a ratchet or a wrench. It's going to be a 17 millimeter. Just go into the front of the car. And right there it says engine oil. There's your plug. So I'm going to position this piece of wood right here in case we spill a little bit of oil. Then I'll put my hand there, and then we'll go ahead and loosen her up. There we go, broke loose. Now be careful, the exhaust is right here. It's going to be pretty hot, so be careful what you touch. So broke it loose. Got my pan positioned. Now we just unscrew the oil plug, let her drain. There she goes. Alright, the oil is just about done draining. See, it's still kind of dripping. I'm going to go ahead and put the plug back in, just kind of hand tight for now. I can get it in. There we go. I'm just going to put it hand tight so it quits dripping. I'm going to get this out of the way. Probably clean that up later. Get this out of the way so I can get to the oil filter, which we'll do next. Alright, got the old oil out the way. Got a fresh pan under there. Gonna go try to get the filter off. Again, make sure you're wearing safety glasses. I've got a pair of gloves on with some grippy texture on the hand to help me grab the oil filter off. So go under the front of the car, and this is where you were draining the oil. That is the front passenger side wheel we're looking at. If you keep going over here towards the wheel, look up there, you will see the oil filter right there. So what I like to do is, again, I'm right here where we were draining the oil earlier. Just reach your hand back here you can get your hand on the oil filter and try to take it off by hand if you can. Last time this fought me a little bit, but I'm gonna use 2 hands and we'll report back. Alright, I got it broke loose. Just gonna show you what I ended up doing. I'm here under the front of the car and I'm going left-handed. Just right up under here. I was able to get a good grip on it. There it is. Good grip left-handed. And it actually came off pretty easy. So I'm gonna do that. Again, I've got my board under here. This is probably gonna make a mess. I'm gonna try to catch what I can with this. Let's see. Just unscrew it counterclockwise. There it goes, starting to drain. It's gonna get everywhere. Whoops. There we go. Catch what you can. Keep unscrewing it. And then she finally comes off. There we go. Just flip it upside down into the drain pan like that. Alright, it's about done draining the oil filter, so we're going to put the new one on. We'll just follow the directions. You can see here it says oil gasket slightly. Clean the seating area. So you want to screw it on by hand until it just, barely touches the mounting area, the mounting surface. And then after it touches, go ahead and turn it another 3/4 of a turn. So pretty straightforward. But oil gasket slightly. They're talking about the gasket here on the top, this black part. So what I like to do is just get a little dab of oil on my finger and just kind of run it around the surface here. Make sure we oil that gasket so it gets a little bit of lubrication. So as we're screwing it on to the engine, we're not tearing at the surface. So with that, we'll clean the surface where it sits, and then I'll just reach back in here and screw it on by hand. And then once it makes contact, screw it on another 3/4 of a turn, and we'll be done with the oil filter. Quick tip before we put this on: I always like to put the date on the oil filter with a Sharpie of when I did the oil change. I keep pretty detailed spreadsheet on all the maintenance we do on the vehicles, but when in doubt, you can always check the oil filter, in my case, and see when the last time you changed the oil was. So. Alright, one more thing I wanted to share. This happened to me last time. This is my second time changing the oil here. I had to fight this a little bit to get it on. This should spin freely. I mean, you see I'm just kind of barely touching my fingertips there. This should spin freely until it contacts the surface up there. The first 15 minutes of me trying to get this on, I would get it on, spin it maybe 2 or 3 times, and it would hang up. That means we're not getting good contact with the threads, here on the inside. So you never want to force this filter on. Again, you saw me spinning with my fingers. It should spin very freely until it becomes flush up here. So just want to make sure, if anyone else has that problem, do not force the filter on. It should be very easy to spin on. Like I said, it took me about 15 minutes to finally get it lined up correctly. But hey, now it's in contact, spun freely. You can see it's in contact with the surface up there. Now I'm going to spin it another 3/4 of a turn, and then that'll be done. Alright, I spun that 3/4 of a turn, put my glove on, got a good grip on it, and about where I could stop, spinning it freely with my hand when it got hard to turn was when I reached the 3/4 mark. I just kind of watched the bottom of it where I have the date written go around 3/4 of a turn. Now we'll go back to the engine oil. Remember, I just hand tightened this earlier just so we could work on the filter. Let me take this off again. Get any kind of remaining drips of oil out, And then this would be the time where, if you were smart and you had bought the crush washer, you would put the crush washer on around the bolt, and then once that finishes draining, again, put that back on and snug it up. Alright, so last step underneath the car is going to be to torque up your engine oil drain plug. So again, you should have put your crush washer on already around the bolt. Just like the oil filter, I mean, you want to do this by hand first. Make sure it goes in nice and smooth. You never want to force it. Always do it by hand so you don't damage the threads. And I looked up on Google. Torque value for this bolt is 29 foot-pounds. So just like I recommend you use a crush washer, I highly recommend you get a torque wrench, set it to 29 foot-pounds, and go ahead and torque that bolt until it clicks. Alright, so back up top, we're going to put some oil in before we put the car back down. Never want to start it without oil. So we got our big funnel. And again, we're just going to go into the oil fill right there. Get that set up there. If you remember, the manual calls for 5.7 quarts if you're replacing the oil and the filter. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a full 5 quarts of oil first. Start it up, get it off the ramps, and then I'll check the dipstick and fill it up as necessary. Just remember, before you take it off, remove your chuck from behind the back wheel. And yeah, we'll check it again in a second. All right, we're back on level ground. Car ran for a couple of minutes. Here's the oil dipstick. So what I always do is I'll pull it out, clean it off first, and then put it back in. Let it sit for a couple of minutes. When the engine's running, it kind of splashes oil around down there, so it might give you a false reading. Alright, see where we're at. So we're right there at the bottom. So we have enough. I'll go ahead and put another, half a quart in or whatever, just to try to get it to the center of that, hatch marks there. But that would be okay as is with 5 quarts, but I'll go ahead and put another half quart in or so. Alright, now we're going to replace or reset the oil life. So just following the manual. We'll just tap the car on. Don't have to start it. We'll hit enter. Go down to maintenance, oil life. We're just going to hold the enter button on the steering wheel. 10 seconds. Feels like longer than 10 seconds. Keep holding it. There we go. And then this is the reset menu. I think I had oil life and tire rotation, so I'm going to rotate the tires here in a second. So I'll do items. Reset complete, and then there we go, it's set to 100%. Alright everyone, last thing, make sure with all of your old engine oil you dispose of it properly. So what I do is the empty jugs of oil that I just used, I'll put X's on it to let it know that it's used oil, and I'll just pour the old oil back into there. I think all the Walmart auto centers will take used oil. They'll recycle it. I think your car parts places like AutoZone, O'Reilly's will also take it. But just look around, see who takes old used oil and who will recycle it properly, and bring it to them. You can use milk jugs if you need more space. Just please, don't just dump it in the yard or stuff like that. Make sure you dispose of it properly. Alright, thanks for watching.